Are disability rules for people over 50 about to change? Recent reports suggest that a new federal rule could tighten how the Social Security Administration determines who qualifies for disability benefits. Specifically, there's talk that the government might reduce how much age and work history count in disability decisions. This means older applicants, those in their 50s and 60s, could soon face stricter work requirements when trying to prove they can't perform any substantial work due to health conditions. It's not official yet, but the proposal has created serious concern among seniors, advocates, and disability experts. If you have questions about your specific case, your age, your health limits, or your past work, drop them in the comments and I'll personally reply. And if you find this helpful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Social Security Post for timely updates and accurate explanations. Let's start with what's being reported. Multiple outlets and think tanks have mentioned that a draft rule could change how Social Security weighs vocational factors at Step 5, the stage where the agency decides if you could still do other work that exists in the economy. Currently, this step gives older workers more flexibility because it recognizes that retraining or switching to new jobs becomes harder as people age. The rumored change would reduce that protection, making it more difficult for applicants over 50 or 55 to qualify, even when their medical conditions clearly limit them. Nothing has been finalized yet, but planning ahead is crucial because policy changes like this often move faster than people expect. To understand the concern, you first need to know what the grid rules are. The grid rules, formerly called the Medical-Vocational Guidelines, are part of Social Security's decision process when evaluating disability claims. They take into account a person's age, education level, past work experience, and the kind of physical or mental tasks they can still perform. These rules exist because the government recognizes that it's not realistic to expect a 55-year-old factory worker with a serious back injury to suddenly take up a desk job that requires computer skills they never had. The grids bridge that gap by making it easier for older claimants to be approved when their health and job history make new employment unlikely. Under the proposed change, those safeguards could weaken. The administration might lower the value of age in the decision-making process or raise the threshold where age begins to matter. In simpler terms, someone who's 55 might be treated more like a 40-year-old applicant. That shift could result in more denials because the agency would claim there are other jobs available, even when those jobs aren't realistic for people dealing with serious medical limitations. Disability advocates estimate that eligibility could drop by 10 to 20% overall, with older workers being the most affected. If this happens, it won't just change numbers on paper. It will change lives, especially for those who rely on their benefits to survive. The people most at risk from this potential rule change are older workers, particularly those aged 50 to 64. It will hit hardest in communities where physical jobs dominate, places like the South, Appalachia, and the Rust Belt, where many individuals have spent decades in manufacturing, mining, or other physically demanding work. These workers often have limited formal education, few transferable skills, and serious injuries that make retraining nearly impossible. If the grid rules are weakened, these Americans could face an uphill battle, proving that they can't just do something else. The ripple effects would be severe. A denial of disability benefits doesn't only stop a check, it can also cut off access to health coverage. SSDI benefits eventually lead to Medicare after the waiting period, and SSI usually connects recipients to Medicaid. If people lose access to these programs, they could find themselves without health care and forced to claim early retirement at 62 just to get some income. But early retirement permanently reduces monthly payments by roughly 30% for life. For many families already living on the edge, this combination of lower benefits and lost health care would be devastating. It's important to know that as of right now, the grid rules are still in effect. In fact, There was a recent update that benefits claimants. The Social Security Administration shortened the look-back period for past relevant work from 15 years to just 5 years, and it now excludes jobs that lasted under 30 days. That's a favorable change that makes it easier for some applicants to qualify under current law. So, while the proposed rule could take months or even longer to finalize, claimants should use the existing system to their advantage and file as soon as they can. Major rule changes don't happen overnight. Before anything becomes official, it must go through a formal process that includes public comments and often court challenges. There is no confirmed effective date yet, so this is still a developing issue. However, being proactive now can make all the difference later. If you're currently applying or appealing for disability, it's time to strengthen your case. Here's how to protect yourself. File your claim as soon as possible, especially if you're nearing an age milestone like 50 or 55. Document your functional limits clearly with medical evidence. Ask your doctors to specify how long you can sit, stand, or walk, how much you can lift or carry, how often you need breaks, and how pain or fatigue affects your ability to work. Detailed medical statements are much stronger than general comments like patient cannot work. Also, make sure your healthcare providers describe how your limitations impact real-world work tasks. This type of documentation is crucial if rules tighten later. You should also prepare for the vocational part of your case. Understand what jobs the Social Security Administration might argue you can still do and gather evidence showing why those jobs aren't realistic for you. If your prior work was heavy or physical, explain why your skills don't transfer to easier or more technical jobs. And if you're denied, appeal right away. Many successful cases are won during hearings, not on the first application. Missed deadlines can end good claims. If you're considering early retirement because of a denial, run the numbers before deciding. Early retirement reduces your benefit for life, while a successful disability claim often locks in higher payments and earlier access to Medicare. Talk with a benefits advisor or attorney to compare both options before making a final move. For those on SSI, keep your financial resources below the limits and stay organized with your records. Each state has slightly different Medicaid rules, so learn what applies where you live and keep all paperwork ready in case you need to reapply or appeal. Here's the bottom line. The grid rules still protect many older workers today, but a proposed change could weaken that protection tomorrow. The best thing you can do right now is document your case, file early, and keep clear evidence of every medical and functional limitation you face. Share your questions in the comments, tell me your age, work background, and main limitations, and I'll reply with guidance specific to your situation. And if you want to stay informed, please like this video and subscribe to Social Security Post so you don't miss any updates when the official proposal is released and what it really means for your benefits.